Kadosh Baruch Hu controls everything. The point is to see from that, and this is what people find it very hard to see.
It's what we're learning from it.
Exactly. Is to see that we are so powerful. And when I wake up in the morning and I have my Yetzer Hara telling me, go pray, don't go to pray, don't pray, you prayed yesterday, something very minor. And when I overcome my inclination and I say, okay, no, I need to do it, and my Yetzer Hara tells me, yeah, but you're not doing it with simcha, and you're not concentrating on the words, why are you bothering? And the fact that I overcome my fight, and I gave just an example with praying, it can be with anything. So, and everybody has this Yetzer Hara, anyways, it's not so important. Concentrate on that. Me as a Jew, with a special soul, not me, my alone, me, anyone has to say me, we're so powerful that every second my thoughts are even makes a difference. And if I, work on myself, the topic we wanted to talk about chinuch, which we talked about everything but chinuch, but the point to take from that in regards to chinuch is, when people ask me about chinuch, is how should I treat this kid? How should I deal with that kid? The foundation of chinuch is how do I treat myself? How do I conduct myself? So before we even go into chinuch, it's all about how I behave. Now, if I conduct my life in a certain way, it does affect everybody around me. So my little efforts make a huge difference to the entire world.
I affect the world.
Exactly. This little person, I can affect the world tremendously. So in a second we'll start talking about chinuch, and you'll see how this attitude actually affects everything around me. But in regards to my entire Avodat Hashem, how I hold myself the entire day, I can affect the entire city. And if one day I'm totally holy, and my thoughts are pure, and every thought that comes to my mind that is impure, right away I push it away, and I totally go out of my way, I now radiated such kedusha that I affected the entire surrounding. The Arizal explains that we have some type of an energy that surrounds us, and it's about a couple meters away from us. That's why you see a person walking into the room, he walks in with a certain energy. Certain individuals, you feel it very strong. A certain individual walks into the room, everybody's like all uptight. Yeah. Some individuals walk into the room, everybody's like relaxed and happy. So you can, if you know how to control that energy, you know how to completely control your surrounding. And some people, they have it naturally, and some people, they actually know how to do it. But you see in many cases, a speaker will walk into a room, pitom everybody's all inspired. What did he say? He said the exact same thing that somebody else has said. But people will leave all inspired and happy and wow, and they want to be next to him, not because he's a celebrity, because the energy is different. And there is ways that a person can control this energy. That also has to do with chinuch. Because when I come home after a day of work, doesn't matter if I'm a husband or wife.
What does chinuch actually mean? Education?
Chinuch is education, but in Hebrew when you say chinuch is much more than education, is my entire method of bringing up my kids. Yeah. So education is what you get in school. But chinuch in Hebrew is not necessarily the here, open the book and learn. Is how I bring my children, because my children are not my children. They're God's children, and they were deposited in my house for me to take care of them. Yeah. And they chose me. Our kids choose us. The neshamot, their souls in Shamayim, they say, I want to be born to those parents. So our kids choose us, and their souls, they come to our wedding. So on our wedding night, the souls of the kids are there, and they want to see the simcha. So the souls are not ours, and it's a deposit. So first of all, one needs to internalize, it's not even my kid. What are you taking possession of this child? It's not your child. And the first thing that people fail in chinuch, in educating and upbringing, is thinking that I own the child. You're going to do what I tell you. That's the first mistake, because I don't own the child. And I can't control the child. I have to educate the child. But I can't change the child. He comes with his character traits. He comes with his faults, with his talents. And it's my job to now polish the child and give the child midot tovot. That's it. So, needless to say, to teach the child to love God, to love people, to love the Torah. But the place where most people fail is that they think they own the child. And they tell the child, oh, you're going to go and learn piano. I don't want to learn piano. You have to learn piano because that's what I like. So I'm just giving an example with piano. It can be with many other things. I know so many parents, they send their kids, you got to learn football. I don't like football. You have to learn football. I don't want to. So, and then when the child comes and says, I want to learn to play this instrument. Oh, no, that's, you can't. What do you mean you can't? That's what I want. So a lot of parents, they control the child, what you're going to wear, how you're going to talk, don't do this, don't do that.
Most of the time it's in the child's best interests. That's why you do it.
That's where you have to differentiate what is for the best interest of the child and what is what.
Yourself.
Exactly. So that's the title of chinuch. Is what I, as a mature, responsible adult, need to know that I do not want to give my child to go this path, and I want him to go on this path. But if my child has a certain talent or a certain love to something, and it's contradicting my love, I should not oppose it on my child. If my child wants to play a certain sport, and in many groups they don't want the child to play sports. Why? That's his outlet. He has to have a child has to have an outlet. And in many groups of people, when I'm saying groups, I'm referring to religious groups. No, you can't do this. Why? That's what the child wants to do. And now the problem with a lot of people in chinuch is they take these guidelines of what's good to my child and they add on that a lot of other guidelines and a lot of restrictions, and it's not healthy for the child. And that's why I see, and right now more...
Off the rails. What did you say before? Off the derech?
Off the derech. That's why now I'm referring to communities and religious communities that they don't know how to control the youth, so 50% of them are leaving the religion.
The restrictions are too strong.
Not only that, I mean, I know communities, the children don't even know how to kick a ball. Come on, it's a little kid. He needs to kick a ball. He needs to ride on a bike. He needs to get dirty. He needs to climb on a tree. They need to do it. And when you choke a child in any way, a child is like a spring. And the more you press it, the more pressure will be. And once you release it, then the more it was pressed, the further away it will go. So a smart parent, he pushes the child to go the way I want to go because I'm looking in a responsible way. Don't lie, don't cheat, be courteous, be polite, study, keep your room clean. I'm pushing the child because I'm responsible and I'm an adult and I'm mature and I know what's the good thing. And the rest is up to the child. So
it's such a fine line. It's such a
of course it's a fine line.
Because you have to give them that little bit of responsibility themselves without giving them too much to...
That's why parenting is you master it when the kids leave the house.
Just like, the youngest is always much easier than the oldest.
The point is that it has to be really, the education is very neglected in our generation, both in the school system and in the homes. And there's not enough, I can't say a campaign, there's not enough help and education in regards to this whole topic. Right. And parents are becoming too busy because Parnassa is hard, or they're involved. I mean, just the other day somebody shared with me a video that you see a woman walking, texting on her phone, and you see it from a surveillance camera. And the child is walking behind, two kids are walking behind, and then the other one just goes away and somebody runs them over. And she's on the phone, she's walking and texting. And the child was like, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 years old, maybe 4, was very low. He couldn't see, the driver couldn't see the child because he was lower than the hood. And the mom is just walking and texting and the child gets run over. And you see that people their whole life takes over them. And these phones are the disease. I mean, they're very helpful. And I also have a phone, but people become very fixated on this phone. And it's mamash a disease. That's why in one of my lectures about Mashiach, and I'm talking about the war of Gog and Magog, and I'm explaining it that, there is the possibility of physical war, But the war of Gog and Magog is called what's called Milchemet Gigim. Gigim is thoughts. And I call it the war of thoughts. I like calling it the war of screens, because we're all like, hooked on these screens. All day long we're looking at a screen. Whether it's a computer, whether it's a TV, whether it's a GPS, whether it's my phone, all day long our eyes are looking at a screen.
Our shopping lists, we're doing it on our phone.
Everything.
All of our reminders, our calendar,
Yeah.
it's all good things, but if you use it for good things.
The problem is that even
if we lose our phones.
In the schools now during Hafsakah, kids are on their phones and playing instead of playing ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's when you do research because everyone's staring at their phones.
They're not allowed. Oh, you mean in secondary school?
Yeah, in our kids' schools, they're not allowed to come with a phone.
I have no idea that they're allowed.
My other school, they're not allowed.
They're not allowed. Now the thing is that the phones and the screens are good. The technology was given to us for us to advance. But there's a rule in nutrition, and Maimonides, that Rambam teaches. He says if you eat a lot of very healthy food, is worse than eating a little bit of bad food. So you can eat a salad this big, all good vegetables, but if you eat a massive amount of it, the damage it does is worse than eating something small like a cake. So all this technology is good when you have it under control. But today, like you said, if you lose the phone, if the phone goes out of range, where is it?
And you shopping list, I've got my calendar, I've got
not only that, you just hear the ding, ding ding of the text, you just jump on the phone. So the problem is that these screens have a very strong klipa in it, a very strong impurity in it that controls us. So people are becoming too busy. Like the example that the woman was texting and the child runs over right next to her. So we get so involved in our day-to-day activity that we don't have time to stop for a second, especially for the kids, and say, wait a minute, let me set my priorities. So of course parenthood is the most difficult thing ever, because each child is completely different and there's no rules. So the entire topic of chinuch is extremely neglected, and there's not enough education about it. And of course it's a fine line, because what am I doing? With one kid you have to do like this, one kid you have to do like that. You literally have to be a master parent to know how to deal with the kids. But there are certain guidelines. And one of the most important things, and this is what most people fail in, is that they're trying to control the child in a very unhealthy way. That's why Shlomo HaMelech, who was the wisest man ever, says, Chanoch lanaar al pi darko. Educate the kid according to his way. Now, if you want to give, to take a beautiful example from this world, not from the spiritual world, look at martial arts, for example. There's one type of martial arts that you just hit. You just kick and you punch. But the more sophisticated martial arts, you don't attack. You just use the opponent's energy and weight to overpower him. It's judo and aikido and jiu-jitsu. You don't do anything. You just stand, the opponent attacks you, and you just know how to move the right way and to use his weight, his energy to push him away. So this is one example out of many. That the same thing, I'll give you another example with trees. If you take now a tree and you plant the tree crooked, so the tree will grow crooked. Once it grew, that's it, it's crooked. It will never be changed. Take the same tree and when it's young, put it straight, then it will go straight. So you have, when the tree is small, time to kind of manipulate it, let's say. Manipulating is
too heavy, when it's too big.
Once it's grew, that's it, you can't do anything. So my job is not to tell the child to oppose on him, is to realize his way and then just to slowly just...
There should be different rules for different children, because every child
has to be.
One child can't be punished for the same thing that the other child is punished for.
Exactly.
One child can take the criticism and needs it, the other child can't take it.
100%.
So every child needs something. It sounds unfair to the child, but
no.
Well, sometimes.
That's why I quoted Shlomo HaMelech that says, Chanoch lanar al pi darko. Every child is completely different. One child, you'll tell him once, clean the room, he'll clean the room. Another child, he's not going to clean the room. And if you tell him 50 times clean the room, every time you add clean the room, it's one more step back. Each child is completely different. The point is to first of all, but I think what we should do is we should take our time to do each class a different topic about chinuch. But the first and most important is educating myself. Before I'm able to educate and bring my child, I have to first analyze myself. And that's exactly what I talked about, that when you come into a room with a certain energy, if I come home, me or let's say a father comes home after a whole day of work, he's all upset, the clients annoyed him, his boss annoyed him, everybody annoyed him, he got a ticket, somebody scratched his car, his screen of his phone got cracked, he's coming home extremely upset. The energy that he comes into the home with him right away affects the entire house. So the entire house already is unstable right now. So it could be that this particular day the child did something that on a regular basis he wouldn't be so angry at him. Just be coming with this energy, right now the entire energy flow in the house is changing. That's why it's so important that when the parent walks into the home, it doesn't matter the father or the mother, before he opens the door, she sits for 2 minutes in the car, relax, read a capital of Tehillim, unwind your mind a little bit, take a deep breath before you walk through the door. Now it can be either walking through the door or the mother picking up the kids before she greets the kids the first time. Because the first 5 minutes, like a first impression, the first 5 minutes makes everything. So when my kids come home from school and they come to visit me, I make sure that the first 5 minutes is a very positive encounter. I don't right away. I mean, sometimes I get calls from the teacher. I'll give you just one example out of many, you'll get the point. The other day, the teacher of one of my boys, he calls me and he tells me, listen, today your boy was not behaving so good. He was disturbing this guy, he did this, he did that. I was like, okay, I'll talk to him. And a normal reaction of a normal parent will be that the second the child walks into the home, your teacher called me, why did you do this? What good would that be? The child right away would completely lock himself and be, oh, now I'm afraid, now I'm going to get in trouble. So in this particular case, he walked in, he probably knew that the teacher called me. I saw how he's looking at me. And instead of screaming at him, when he walked in, hey, how are you? And I'm giving him a hug and kiss, and how was your day? And I'm not even mentioning everything. What did you learn today? Did you do it? I'm talking to him completely on a total different subject. So now, all the pressure went off. You have to dig into the child's mind. He's 8 years old. He's not mature to know how to present now the case. He, in his mind, now I'm going to be in trouble. Now I don't know how my father will react. Maybe he'll take my toys. Maybe he'll punish me. So the point was that I didn't even mention it. And not only that I didn't mention it, 5 minutes of a very positive encounter. Everything was good. Tell me about you. I didn't even ask him, what did you learn? What did you have homework? Did you play? What did you play? I completely took him to a different place. Only 3 hours later, told him, tell me, you know, your teacher called me today. What happened? He was already relaxed. He wasn't feeling intimidated. He wasn't feeling threatened. He didn't have this position of I'm going to be in trouble now.
He wasn't defensive.
Yeah, he was like, you know, he like looked at me and smiled. You know, and I told him, listen, don't do that. You're disturbing this guy. The reprimanding was not aggressive. And the result was 100 times more positive. He didn't get into a defensive mode. He wasn't afraid. And I know for a fact that next time he's going to have echoing in his mind, you know, my father, you know, I don't want to disappoint him again. So how I interact with my child, I have to be the smart one. I can't be impulsive. because I had a bad day. And I can't be impulsive with my child because I have issues. So before I go into the ring of educating and upbringing my kid, I have to first do a check on myself. Because if I bring my issues to the battle, then it's my problem, not the child's problem. Children don't have much problems. It's 50% of the children's problem is the parents putting problems on them. So the first and most important foundation in upbringing and chinuch and education of my kids is me. I have to make an analysis of myself. Now, if I have an issue with a child that steals, because kids like stealing, and for them it's an innocent thing to take a gum from the store or whatever. If my child has any type of issue, it means that I have it, because I'm projecting it on my child. So if my child is fresh and he's answering back, it means that in some type of way I have it. Not that I had it 20 years ago, now I'm getting a payback. It means I have it in some type of a way. And if my child is not completely honest with me, it means that in this very refined way, I'm not honest with somebody else, maybe with Hashem. I'm not honest. Maybe I'm not honest with myself.
If it's your spouse, might be. Not to say.
No, what I'm saying is if you see it, it means it's in you.
Oh, if I wouldn't see it, it means that I have no shaykhus.
Yeah. Which means that if you, let's just for the sake of the example, let's say you are 100% honest, not one word of lie ever comes out of your mouth. There's not even the concept of lying. Lying is the worst thing ever. You wouldn't even notice that the child has it. So of course there's the concept of the spouse, but you know how I see one of my children is completely different how my wife sees. That's why you see that with parents. That's why you see that in parents you see kind of a favorite, and it's not that it's a favorite. It's the parent doesn't have these negative character traits, so he doesn't see it in the child. So by default, he sees the child completely different. So the point and the foundation of educating my kids is first of all to look in myself, and whatever I see in my kid. If my kid has issues waking up in the morning and it's driving me crazy, it means that I have it. And that doesn't mean it's exactly. In a very refined way. So if I see that my child, it's annoying me that he's not talking truth, why are you lying to me? I told you to do this, you told me that, I just found out. It means that I'm probably, in some type of a way, not 100% truthful in some situations. Not all the time. But could be that in a certain situation or a certain relationship, I lie. I'm not truthful. So my children are my mirror. The first step of education is the children are educating me. And 2 days ago we celebrated my daughter's bat mitzvah, and just yesterday we put the video and we wanted to see, because during the event you don't concentrate what's going on. You look at the video like, oh wow, I didn't remember that I did that.
Every time you watch it.
So we wanted to see the speeches. So I listened to my wife's speech. Besides the crying and the tears, she said something very, very interesting. And she said about my daughter, she taught me so much. And she taught me how to love other people and not to say lashon hara and not to do this and not to do that. And I was like, look what a smart parent. And I'm not saying it because it's my wife, but look what a smart parent to look at the kid and to derive something from the kid. And this shows a great level of anava, of humbleness, because most parents, they have ego. I'll teach you what you need to know. And a smart parent says, no, let me look at the child, I'll get something out of it. And that goes to any type of relationship. If I come to a relationship and I think that I'm the one who's going to teach, that my ego is in my way, then I'm not going to get anything from that relationship. That's why David HaMelech says, Mikol melamdai hiskalti. From every person I learned something. He was so humble that he was able to receive something from every individual. Now if I come to any relationship, whether it's my spouse, whether it's my boss, whether it's my neighbor, if I'm coming with the attitude that I'm not getting anything from you because I'm smarter than you, or I'm better than you, or I'm more successful than you, then I'm basically losing out, because each individual in the world can teach me something. I can learn 15 years Torah, and I can talk to you for 2 minutes and you can teach me something that I will never ever figure out by myself. And it's our ego that stops me from accepting wisdom from somebody else, because every human being has some type of chokhmah, some type of a wisdom that the other doesn't. Now it comes more into action with my kids. I think a parent says, okay, my 4-year-old can teach me something. Yeah, your 4-year-old can teach you compassion. And your 4-year-old can teach you love. You see sometimes, I mean, my little, well, he's not little anymore, but one of my boys, when he was little, constantly he would give everybody. I mean, one of my daughters, if she's holding an ice cream, I tell her, give me a lick. No. The other boy, I would just tell him, can I have a lick? Here, take it. I don't need it. So from every child, you can learn something. The point is that when you, first of all, educate yourself, then you are able to start educating your kid. Because every kid is completely different. There are different guidelines. There are different things that you want to know what to do, how to do, when to do. Yeah, you definitely want to put a lot of attention to that. But before you start, you have to, first of all, clean your own self before you're able to start affecting the kids. And the point is that you wake up in the morning, you have to get the kids ready to school, then take 5 minutes, go to sleep 10 minutes earlier so you can wake up 10 minutes earlier so you can get yourself all ready and not all hyped up. And if you need to pray before, I mean, my wife, she can't function well before she prays, so I always tell her, so go to sleep an hour earlier so you can wake up an hour earlier so you can pray, and then you're ready to accept the kids and you're relaxed and you're happy and the kitchen is clean, the sandwiches are ready. So the point is that I need to first make order in my life. If I come home from work and I have a stressful job, then I have to go to, I don't know, run for 15 minutes before I go into the home. How I come into the home makes a huge, huge difference. Now, if it's men, then whether they come home late at night after their job, or Friday evening right before Shabbat starts, so their energy is how they come in. And the parents have a lot of dominating energy in the home. And sometimes in spouses, one spouse is too much strong energy and the other spouse is very diminished next to that spouse. Sometimes the husbands are so dominant, the husband walks in, the woman suddenly she's like shuts down. And sometimes it's the complete other way around. This also means that in the couple, the shlom bayit is not equal. Not necessarily that they fight or not, but the sharing of the energy of the husband and the wife is not equal. And you see it in many times. And I see it mainly with, a woman will behave a certain way, and then the husband walks into the room, completely different person. And the energy changes.
That's not wrong.
It's not about wrong. It's the energy between the husband and wife has to be balanced.
Yeah.
That's the problem with most couples, that they're not balanced. If they're balanced, then the exchange of energy is good.
Bounce off each other.
Yeah, it's good, it's healthy. So the first thing that will happen, no fights. I don't fight with my wife because the energy is very balanced. And I'm not saying it to show off that I don't fight with her, just that I work on myself where I need to work on. She works on herself where she needs to work on, and we talk about it. We learn together, we talk. So our energy is balanced. There's no situation that I will walk into the home and she'll be uptight because I walked into the home, or vice versa. So couples need to get to a point that their energy, their level is completely balanced. It's called in Hebrew, or in the terminology of Kabbalah, izun. Everything has to have balance. If you see the entire teachings of Kabbalah is always having balance between the right side and the left side. If you see the structure of the Sfirot, you see that most of the Sfirot, starting from Keter to Malchut, are in the middle, and then some of the Sfirot are left and right. But the whole point in my own self-work, in my educating, in my relationships, in anything in this world, I have to have balance. If I'm not balanced, then I'm unbalanced. Then my life is a chaos. And most people, their life is chaos because they're just not balanced. So either something is too much to one side or too much to this side. The point of any individual is to get his life into balance. And this manifests into the world, so it will manifest into my health. I mean, too much to the right, too much fixed it on the health department, it's not good. Too much on the junk food is also not good. You have to have balance. Everything has to have a good balance. Now, if the husband and wife has a good balance between them, then by default, the energy of the house calm. So the kids are calm, and the kids' friends, they come into the house, it's calm. So it all starts with us. If I want to be a good parent, then I first have to be a good person, then a good spouse, then I can start becoming a good parent.
Can I ask you a quick question on this? A lot of times a couple, they're attracted to each other because they're so different from each other. So it's hard to sort of find this peaceful balance when one husband is predominantly extroverted and the wife, let's say, is very introverted and shy. This is the natural, that's how they came together in a way. So if they're peaceful, they're not fighting, but still the energy is still dominant.
Oh no, the fact that they're completely different, that has nothing to do with the balance.
It could still be a peaceful environment.
It has to be different.
Yeah.
It's the yin and the yang. Right?
But exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to say that because the Chinese, they took it from us. But that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Now, the husbands and wife always will be different, but that doesn't mean it affects the balance. Lehefech, one completes the other. So if the couple are smart, they allow each other to fulfill their exactly. Now the mistake is when the spouse is trying to change the husband or the wife. There's always going to be conflict. You said one is outgoing, one is shy. Perfect. Now find the way to balance it. And the example in the physical world, take the olden days scale. So you put on one side a melon, and then you start putting these little stones. So when you're thinking of it, this is a melon, and here's metal stones, but they somehow were able to come into balance. Two different entities. So husband and wife is completely different. If they're smart, they're able to scale themselves, that their energy between them is perfect. So they complete each other. So yeah, you shy and I'm outgoing.
I see in my children the things about them which I don't like and I trust, and my husband never sees them. I'm talking about one child in particular. Like what you just said, I obviously have those things that I know I have that annoy me about them.
The basics of education is first to have a very good relationship with the husband and wife. That's why if you look at the nature of the world, for 20 years you're single. You have to work on yourself.
Yeah.
20 years, 25 years, doesn't matter.
Some people need longer, some people need less.
Exactly. I'm just saying, I just threw a number, but for the first part of your life you're single because you need to work on yourself. Then you get married. If you're lucky, then Hashem gives you a year or two of quiet, then you work on your marriage. Then you get kids, that's it, it's time for the kids. But if the parents don't have a good relationship, or they don't know how to deal with each other, 90% of the education problems will manifest into the kids. Because kids are very simple. And if a kid see the parents fighting, right away, it makes the kid unbalanced. Because the kid will always take side. A kid always has a little bit more of sensitivity to one parent. Some kids it's the mother, some kids it's the father. But when the kid sees the ultimate balance being not balanced, it completely throws the kids off. So any home, if you have to fight with your husband, hold yourself, go to the room, close the door, or fight in the morning, that the kid doesn't see it. It's the worst thing when the kids see the husband and wife fighting, it throws the kids off. And then when the teacher calls the parents, your kid is wild, oh, it's the TV, it's the shows, it's the friends. No, it's you fighting.
I've ever seen my parents argue, ever. And I always thought it was really, really weird. It's really, really unusual.
Now here you can take it to the next level.
My mum says to me, of course we do, just not in front of you.
Yeah. No, and then if the parents want to take it to the next level, most parents don't show affection to each other next to the kids, whether they want to or not. Some people don't want to show it because they think it's not sneeze, which is a mistake, by the way. The kids need to see the husband hugging the mother. They need to see it.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with sneeze. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you should do things that are not appropriate, but a kid needs to see the husband and wife hugging. They need to see.
Know it's normal for themselves for when they grow up.
They need to see, first of all, that the father loves the mother and the mother loves the father. And they need to see that they will feel that there's no barriers between us. There's love. So the first lesson of education, we had a late start, so what we'll do today is we'll kind of sum it up with that, but I think what we should do now is every meeting we have, is we'll go into one subject about chinuch, and starting from that, the next time we'll do more about the parenthood. But the most important thing is first of all, the relationship with myself. If I'm good with myself, then I'll be a good husband, I'll be a good father, I'll be a good everything. So first of all, I have to work with myself, and it means I have to refine myself. I have to refine my character traits. I have to do my own avodat Hashem. If I have issues with lying, I have to work on myself. If I have issues with sloppiness or laziness or whatever, I have to work on myself. But since we're now already in the level of a marriage, first I have to work on my marriage, which is not less important. But everything that the child sees, that healthy children are the ones that they see a healthy home. That the parents don't fight. I mean, they can disagree. That's normal. Yeah. But how they argue also makes a big difference. I mean, the kid needs to know that it's normal to disagree, but you do it in a mature way. Yeah. So sometimes I will disagree with my wife. There's not going to be curses. There's not going to be screaming. There's not going to be chas v'shalom violence. There's going to be a disagreement, and the kid observes. Kids, we tend to look at kids as these, little beings that are little and cute, and they have no intelligence. The kids, of course, the kids are extremely, extremely smart. They see everything. Everything is registered. Now, the kid doesn't have the system of analyzing things. It's black and white.
Yeah.
So the point is that
this is it. There's no shades of grey.
A kid doesn't analyze. We analyze things. Kids don't analyze things. You either scream at them, that's it. You screamed at them. Right now, mom is the worst mom in the world. And a smart parent needs to know when to raise the voice and when to be very, very... I know with one of my kids that in most cases, if I raise my voice or I punish him or anything, I will get the complete opposite reaction. With this kid, there's a completely no rules in education in this particular kid. And I know that that's the only way to get to this kid. And I'll give you one example, and then we can maybe take some questions, and then we'll continue the next class. But I'll give you one example that you'll get the point. About 2 years ago, I was invited to manage a Shabbaton in California. And it was a big hotel with, it has a swimming pool and all the activities, and it was a whole Shabbaton that I didn't organize it, but I was the one who was running it. And the day that we got in there, of course, my wife and kids always enjoy all these Shabbatons. They go to hotels and everything's fun, even though they don't get to talk to me. But this particular boy, my son, he came to him and he told me, look, there's a basketball court. Maybe you can play basketball with me. So I told him, okay, today is the first day. I can't. I promise you that before the end of the weekend, we're going to play. Of course, being a little kid, every 2 hours, can we play? Can we play? And I told him, no, it's not good. I have to prepare all my classes. I have to prepare everything. I told him, I promise you. If I promise, it's happening. Don't worry. Of course, running such a Shabbaton, everybody wants my attention. I didn't have a free second. Came the last day and he tells me, it's the last day. We didn't play. So I said, you know what? I take my jacket off. I take my tie off. I roll up my sleeve and we go out and we start playing. Now, in order for him to have fun, I get into it. So, when I put the ball in the basket, I know, I'm sure there's a slang to that. So I like jumping and I'm doing my dances and I'm cheering, yeah. And when he takes the ball and I'm getting into it. Let's put it this way. I wasn't doing it like boring. He wanted to have fun. He needs to have fun. So comes one of the people there of the organizers and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm playing basketball with my kid." He's like, "Are you out of your mind?" And he starts telling me, it's a disgrace. You're the rabbi, you're running the Shabbaton, look at you, your shirt is out, and you're sweating, and you're doing all sorts of dances because you put the ball in the basket. What are you, this is how you inspiring people here? That's what we want you here? I told him, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are so wrong that, first of all, this 15 minutes of screaming and dancing and sweating and my shirt out, this 15 minutes is 15 years in yeshiva. Wouldn't get the result of what I did now in 15 minutes. What I did to this little boy right now. Now for the people who are looking at me, you know what people who are looking at what they're saying? Not only that, I told him, you know what, the people who are looking at me that I'm supposed to inspire, what they're saying? Look what a father. Look at him. He can sit and be serious and learn Torah and then go out and jump with his son, and he's a good father. I told him this was the stamp of the Shabbaton. That inspired everybody, that you can learn Torah, you can be organized, and you can still sweat outside and play basketball with your little kid that looks up to you. And I told him, and you know what I did to this kid? Now I placed in him the Torah is cool. That my father is a rabbi and he's cool. And next time when I tell him you want to come to shul, he's not going to be like, oh, shul is boring. He's going to be like, oh, my father is the best father in the world. He's cool. So Torah is cool too, and praying is cool. And I told him, you don't even know what I did to this child right now. 15 minutes of sweating on the basketball court. First of all, I need the exercise. I can't sit all day long. I need exercise too. Second of all, the change I did into this little boy's mind is that you can be frum and you can still have fun. And it's cool to have fun. And I bonded with him in such a way that what I did then will affect him for the rest of his life. I don't care if somebody thinks that it's a disgrace and I'm sweating.
Excuse me, I must leave and collect my...
But you got the point of the story. That's the point. And that's how we have to educate our kids, with a lot of love.